Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Real Talk with Saieed Ali. I am your host, Saieed. I do want to thank you for joining us tonight. And I must say a good night to you, Trinidad and Tobago. Those of you up the Caribbean and around the globe. Those of you that are on our Facebook page, on our YouTube channel, pleasant good night to you. Now, viewers, share our live stream, share our YouTube channel, and let the rest of the world know that there is a program in Trinidad that highlights the issues of the country, the issues of the people, and bring to light things that the government don't want the normal citizen to know. So viewers, share our live stream. We are on Facebook, Real Talk with Saieed Ali on Facebook, on YouTube, TT Real Talk. Subscribe, hit the bell, and you would know when we go live. So viewers, share it, share it, share it. This is what I tell you. This is what I want to tell you tonight. Just share our live stream. More and more people are subscribing to our YouTube, to Facebook. We are growing bigger. Thanks to you, the viewers of Trinidad and Tobago, and thanks to those of you outside of Trinidad and Tobago. I want to say a special good night to my friend in the aviation company in Dubai. My friend, good night to you and your lovely wife. So viewers, I tell you, we in Dubai, we have a whole aviation company in Dubai locked on to Real Talk with Saieed. I've been telling you all that. So tonight I decided to give him a little shout out. So as we start up our program tonight, we're moving on with the pepper spray. Attorney General Faraz Al-Rawi have stated that while pepper spray is a defense mechanism for the vulnerable, monster management is also part of the solution. Al-Rawi stated that the pepper spray law should be operationalized in about a month, and members of the public as young as 16 years would be able to apply for a permit. He further pointed out that awareness of predators, which can be achieved through a registry, which gives the vulnerable a fighting chance through knowledge. Now viewers, when the opposition, when Faris brought it to the chambers, he said they will pass it for importers, export, and manufacturers. And the opposition was okay with it. They were okay with it. It did not give the citizen a fighting chance. The citizen could not have gone into a dealer and asked for pepper spray. Importers, exporters, manufacturers, it was okay with them. The opposition passed it, it was okay, but it was not comfortable with the citizens. And I stood right here on my studio, and I asked the Attorney General and the opposition, how does it benefit the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago? How does it benefit the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago? Can young teenagers and adult women apply? No, there was nothing in place. There was nothing in place. And right here I stood, and I told the Attorney General on my platform, did society got a fighting chance of defense? No, they did not. And I used my platform here to let him know that. Or they did nothing. They did nothing. And after I went on and went on, not too long after, I stood right here, and I thank the Attorney General for reconsidering what was brought forward. Reconsidered it. I said it right here. One more law and legislation's Real Talk push for, and we got it. So now viewers, in about a month time, pepper spray will be available to the public. As young as age 16, with consent from the parents, could go forward and get it. Al-Rawi added that while minors can apply for a pepper spray permit with consent from their parents or guardian, they must undergo training. So we stood right here and we pushed it. We got it passed. This is just a little update. In about a month's time, it will be operationalized right here in Trinidad and Tobago. Like I said, one more in the basket for Real Talk. So we did that for the ladies in Trinidad and Tobago. So viewers, 2386716, feel free to call in, voice your concerns, voice your opinion. It's Bacchanal Thursday tonight. And we're stirring up a little Bacchanal tonight. Tobago wants self-governance, self-government. Now, Tobago self-government has some ways to go as Parliament debate on the two proposed law for Tobago self-government system remains incompleted and in the final discussion stages. This, after Parliament adjourned the matter after debate on the second proposed law. The debate was held minus the opposition, who was absent from Parliament yesterday after walked out on Tuesday. So even though they were not there, they had discussions. They had discussions, whether you're there or not, Parliament going on. And that have been taking place. That have been taking place. Sometimes it's strange, you know. It's strange seeing that the opposition walked out when in this time a bill was debating, and they walked out because it twisted in the time frame for discussion. In the time frame for discussion, they decided to walk out. Why are you walking out? Stand up and fight. Walking out did not solve anything because the Parliament still went on. They did it. They had a discussion whether they were there or not. You see, if the motion was turned down, I could have asked now, so why the motion turned down? When the opposition stood to debate it, or let's turn down the motion, we could have had an argument for that. But you walk up because of time shift. Come on, be real. We're in a situation. They're talking about Tobago self-governance. Stand up, whether you get half an hour, whether you get 20 minutes, come to the point and let Trinidad and Tobago know that yes, we're standing up against something. I tell you when time to talk the correct thing, I do business for years and I will let it out. I will get the correct thing outside. Trinidad, Tobago is looking on the opposition to stand, and you're not there. You're not there. Like I said, I am no favor of parties, you know. But as long as they're in a position, and your position require support, your position is to help the people, I will put you up. So now viewers, there's still a hole on the line. Walking out occurred after opposition members complained about the extended speaking time of the Prime Minister Keith Rowley on the bills. The second bills, comprising of 109 clauses, are the Constitutional Amendment Bill for Tobago Self-Government and the companion bill to establish Tobago Island Council. An important thing, and you walk out because of the time shift. Because Camille did say, if the Prime Minister stood up and she decides to give the Prime Minister 1 hour of her speaking time, it is allowed. And it was passed in the House. It was passed. So if Camille said, you know, Mr. Minister, you have 1 hour and I have 2 hours, I will take one of my hour and I will give it to you, seeing that you are a minister. You are the head of government, and I will have a discussion with my 1 hour. We're discussing an important bill. Self-governance for Tobago. So viewers, we have on the line a live interview with Nkosi Phillips. It's the political leader for unity of the people. My dear, good night to you.
Hi, good night. A pleasant good night to you, Mr. Ali, and all the listeners, viewers. Good night. All the way from Tobago as well.
Now, thank you for joining us tonight. Now, 2 questions. What are your thoughts on Tobago self-governance? Now, before you answer that, identify yourself to Trinidad and Tobago so they would know who you are in Tobago.
Right, the pleasant good night again. I am the political leader for Unity of the People. The organization was formed in 2020. 2020 for the general election, where I contested and was not successful, but I still entered the competition. And from there, I decided to build the party and continue to hold strong in what I'm believing. And we're building the party right now. I contested the PhD election as well for the Local Organization particularly. I'm still not successful, but I'm still going to continue fighting because I believe that change is going to come from this. Before that, I would be an active in Trinidad and Tobago.
Public petition.
And you know, the Google Corporation Practice Festival.
Yeah.
That's the Google Council and someone who's been there. So since you know me, if you don't know me, if you Google me, you'll see everything that I've done since many years sitting here. So I've been advocating for youth and I've been advocating for the promotion and Tobago now as a political leader for unity of people. I am fighting for the right of the citizen of Trinidad and Tobago.
Now tell us, what are your thoughts on the Tobago self-governance?
Well, so far I am a little displeased with what would have went on in the parliament, but you know, it is what it is. I would have foreseen this happening. That is why, as the political leader, my deputy, now after having careful consideration and reading the bill properly, we would have decided to support the bill, not in its entirety, but for it to start the debate, because at least with the debate, we should have seen the both opposition and the government strike at each other and giving the issues that Tobagonians have in Trinidad. But what we saw was the government alone doing its part, and the opposition failed in that regard. I am not taking any side. But at the end of the day, this was the opportunity for the UNC to come at the government and strike at every clause in the bill. The UNC continues to use the terminology that they have, the Tobagonians don't want this and are rejecting this and are rejecting, but what are they rejecting to put where? You
Correct.
discuss anything in the amendment, you did not discuss anything in the clause, nothing at all. All you spoke about is that the PDP sent a letter, they read a letter from Sally Augustine, they read a letter from Hochul, so there's people reading letters. And they had no credibility in what they were saying, because at the end of the day, you should have used this opportunity to deal with the issues that we as Tobagonians have in the parliament, and you did not. So, yes, I know parliamentary privileges here, it may be a biased thing, whatever, that's their point. But at the end of the day, this is the bill that will give Tobago its autonomy, and the UNC would have failed in that regard. Right?
Yes.
This is the opportunity for you to debate, but yet you're walking out. I know this would have happened. Time or no time, at the end of the day, as the opposition leader, you should have took it upon yourself before going to parliament that you know that this bill was coming.
Yes.
Meet with all the political leaders, because as I said before, Tobago is not just made up of the PDP, the PNM, or the UTP.
Correct.
It's made up of undecided voters, persons who are not politically affiliated, and persons who are silent. So at the end of the day, if you as the political leader wanted to debate on Tobago, you should have met with all of us and see what our issues were, and see if we could have raised those issues and challenged the government to all the amendments and clauses, and that did not happen.
Correct. Now, secondly, what do you think would be some of the benefits if Tobago gets greater internal self-government?
According to the bill that is presented to us, there are lots of benefits for Tobago. And some of the benefits are, for example, the Legislative Assembly will now have the power to make its own laws. We will now have a budget raise from 4.3% to a minimum allocation of 6.8%, some say 8%, right? So therefore, we'll be getting at least a $2 billion increase.
Okay.
It will also allow each division to have more than one administrator in its division. We have now 11 nautical miles. And I understood where the Attorney General gives an explanation. But if we define the waters of Trinidad and Tobago and define it in its separation, it will cause problems for us in the international arena. But we were given the 11 nautical miles in the jurisdiction, and I think it was defined there. We will also now have the power to borrow from international investors, local and regional, and make investments and to have the ability for grant access grants from the wider international market. We will also, the autonomy structure is in two phases. We have the Tobago legislature and the Tobago Island government. Also, it will deal with civil service arrangements for Tobago. And you know, there is so much benefit here. What I am saying is that the bill presented to us, yes, it may not be perfect in its entirety, but at least it's a start for us to get somewhere. It's a clear example. The principal gave a student a letter to give his mother. Go home and give the mother the letter. But as soon as the mother received the letter, she started beating the child. What to do? The child don't know. You're beating the child don't know, but you haven't even opened the letter yet to see what it is.
Yeah, correct.
But when you go down to the school, you embarrass the child, and the principal say, well, why are you embarrassing the child? Well, I get a letter from one so I want to know what's going on. But the principal then says, the letter was a letter for you to come because the child is receiving an award. So it clearly states, without information, you cannot make decision. And if you had opened the book, and read the book and read the clause in the book, you would have known that there were clauses there were amendments to be made, and all the issues that we speak about were in the book. Because I listened to some of the debaters, and some of the things that they're raising is in the book. And that is why the Attorney General, they had to stand up and say, well, it is in the book already, but it looked like they did not read the book. So I believe that there are a lot of factors and a lot of things that can come out of this, but apparently, we are politicizing this, as I said before, we are politicizing this too much, and it will be unfortunate that Tobago will not get what it wants, and we will be going back, like we go back to 1946 or 1996 again, because of the government opposition and the opposition to now, and everybody else who's using this as a political tool to gain points to idle spots.
I understand. Now, I do thank you, Nkosi Phillips, for joining us tonight live on Real Talk with Saieed Ali to give Trinidad and Tobago an idea of the benefits of self-governance in Tobago. And I am definitely sure that we will be in touch more often.
No problem at all. I just want to say one thing before I go, just briefly. A lot of Trinidadians are calling and asking, and I said last night, they're still asking me, why did Tobago want to separate? It's not a matter of Tobago wanting to separate. We just want an autonomy to have an equal status as Trinidadians. We want to be treated equally, because a lot of times we do not get the equal treatment that we deserve, and that is all Tobago. We Tobagoans love Trinidadians love Tobagoans. But it's just a little few that will spoil the bunch, but it doesn't have to spoil the whole bunch as getting an autonomy for the island of Tobago. And I want to thank the people of Trinidad for standing up for Tobagoans, but stand up for the right thing.
I understand.
And once you read the bill, let us all get this thing done, and I urge the opposition again to please reconsider, give us that autonomy we deserve. So thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome, and we will keep in touch. Nkosi Phillips, political leader for Unity of the People, giving us some ideas of the benefits that if Tobago gets self-government, they would reap benefits in a different way. Now, we did have a discussion, and we never bash anybody. I believe that was Monday night on our show. We had a discussion. We never bashed. We had an open discussion. And it was successful. We had a lot of calls. Almost 50 calls on Tuesday night. My mistake. On Tuesday night, we had about 50 calls with different ideas. You see, It's not about bashing all the time. It's about coming with a solution, coming with a problem. And what the opposition did, walking out on something like this, I wouldn't tolerate it. I would not tolerate it. It's not like the speaker turned down a motion or the speaker said that is not fit for discussion. It wasn't that. It was a time frame on a clock that caused them to walk out. Time frame on a clock. I'm going to tell you something. I will put the jacket where it's supposed to go, you know. I will put the jacket where it's supposed to go. And you see the thing about it, the discussion continued in Parliament. That was the thing about it. It continued whether they was there or not. Stand up. Don't walk out because 30 seconds or 30 minutes, stand up and have a discussion. Tobago is looking down on you. Trinidad is looking down on you. I cannot blame the speaker all the time. I cannot blame the minister all the time. I cannot blame Camille all the time. No. I was expecting you to stand up. Forget the time frame for now. Forget the time frame, the 60 minutes, the 2 hours, the half an hour. Forget it and start a discussion. Start a debate. Reach somewhere with it. After you could have talked, well, you know, the time... speaker, we need a little more time. And if the speaker said no, well then she would have been on Real Talk with Saeed for denying time on her important decision. Boy, sometimes I ask myself, where are we? Are we in the wilderness? So we're moving on tonight. Caller, good night.
Good night, Mr. Ali.
My friend.
Mr. Ali, I have a different thing to talk about here. Could I talk about it with you, or I could come and talk to you, or give me a number I can reach you at?
The operator will give you my number. Thank you so much. So viewers, we move into Terrence Dialsing. Health Minister Dialsing have stated that one of the benefits which Tobagonian would gain from greater internal self-governance is an improvement in health care in Tobago. Boy, it's back on Thursday. It's a mash-up Thursday tonight. He stated that an improvement in Tobago's health service was part of the legislation. Dialsing then said, for the uninformed, health service is in the Joint Select Committee report. Listen to this.
For the uninformed, health services is in Schedule 1 of the report. Schedule, if you would just condescend to reading the report, you will see it. It's there. So the TRHA vision. The vision of the TRHA is to promote and deliver client-focused, cost-effective, equitable, holistic, and quality health care. But the TRHA is unique amongst the 5 RHAs.
All of you love this, you know. All of you love this discussion on this Thursday night. He added that this legislation speaks to the increased budgetary allocation for the Tobago Regional Health Corporation. Dialsing stated that this equals to increased benefit to healthcare workers, faster updates of equipment, and increased funding for better healthcare.
They can't deal with the truth. They cannot deal with facts. They cannot deal with the report. Because this is pages 11 and 12 of the report and Schedule 1. It speaks to increased budgetary allocations. What does that mean for health? Payment of gratuities to healthcare workers, faster update of obsolete equipment, increased funding for better healthcare services for 2 hospitals and 17 health centers across the length and breadth of Tobago. Madam Speaker, what is so objectionable to members opposite for citizens of Belgarden to get better health care under this Joint Select Committee report? Belgarden, Bethel Health Center, Bloody Bay Health Center, Canaan Health Center, Roxborough Health Center, Charlottesville Health Center, Speyside Health Center, Delaford Health Center, Plymouth Health Center, Pembroke Health Center, Palatouvier Health Center, Mason Hall Health Center, Mount St. George Health Center, Moriah Health Center, Lekoto, Lansforme, Boko. What is so objectionable to that? I ask.
Well, Terrence, I'm going to ask you something tonight, and you better be able to answer Trinidad and Tobago. You better be answer. But I will finish with this. In terms of better healthcare service for Tobago, the Althing said the legislation would see more surgeries happening as well. So, Mr. De Alsing, without giving Tobago self-governance, could Tobago receive all this upgrade without self-governance? I want to ask you that. I want to ask your Prime Minister that. And I want to ask Trinidad that. And I also want to ask the people of Tobago. Put aside self-governance. Put aside self-governance. You have been the health minister for Trinidad and Tobago for almost 6 years, correct? Almost 6 years. August, I believe, will make it 6 years when I was re-elected back into office. August coming will make it 6 years. Mr. Terrence De Alsing, and to the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, could Tobago have received all these upgrades without self-governance? This is my question to you. And this is a question that the Tobagonian people should ask the Minister of Health in Trinidad and Tobago. You had almost 6 years. Almost 6 years to bring this sort of facility, this sort of upgrade to Tobago. And what did you do? What did you do? What did you do? So we're talking about Tobago. Let me come back to Trinidad. Because of this self-governance, Tobago would receive everything you say. My question: what about the health care in Trinidad and Tobago for the last 6 years? What about the health care system in Trinidad and Tobago for the last 6 years? Come now, Terrence. Come out and talk to the citizens. Talk to the citizens. I don't know why me and you just always have to be like this. So if Tobago, if a decision is taken, just saying, we're having a discussion, I'm bringing something to you all. If Tobago doesn't get self-government or self-governance, would Tobago still receive all these upgrades? It's something I'm asking. I am asking something. I am asking a question. Why Tobago cannot receive everything you say without self-governance? And the people of Tobago should ask the Minister of Health, why didn't they receive this? Do we have to get self-governance in order to get this? Well, let's talk now. I'm opening all your eye tonight. Tonight I'm opening all your eye. For the last 6 years, August 10th, I believe, will make it 6 years. 5 years when their term finished, and re-elected on August 10th, 2020. 2021, August 10th, will make it a year. The PRM have regained their authority to govern Trinidad and Tobago. Let's talk now, man. Let's talk now. Why didn't this come up before self-governance discussion in the parliament? I'm not talking. We talking. The head of the present administration said we will not shut down Petrogen. Boom, shut. Espinay say everybody going home. Do not call me 2 o'clock in the morning to ask me how much going and how much staying. I tell you earlier, all going home. That was the Prime Minister. That was Espinay. Now we're hearing from Terence Dialsing. So if Tobago does not get self-governance, can they receive all this benefit that you are saying, Mr. Terence Dialsing? And what was preventing all this benefit to Tobago for the last 5 years? What was preventing them from getting upgrades to the hospitals and to the health centers and to the surgeries? What was preventing them from getting it? And what about Trinidad health centers? What Trinidad had to get? Self-governance in order to get better health centers and better health care in Trinidad? What do we have to have? What do we have to have? Talk now. I want to hear all you. So if self-governance does not kick in into Tobago, you may go benefit. Sense was made before books. God gave us common sense. And with the common sense, we started to write. And we started to put page and page and page together until we have a book. I want to talk. I'm going to tell you something. I'm so accustomed to hearing talks on platform, you know. So accustomed to hearing it. Caller, good night.
Said good night.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, Said, can you remember when Ian Robinson, deceased, was a finance minister under the People's National Movement, Said? You can remember that?
Go right ahead. You jog my memory.
I'll jog your memory. The People's National Movement don't want no self-governance for the people of Tobago. Ian Robinson was given an award and by a name of one of these African countries. Tobago-born sitting Prime Minister's country, Keith Rowley, call him Chief Kunamunu. You can remember that? When Ian Robinson wanted to widen and deepen and dredge Scarborough Harbour, understand? Keith Rowley
yes.
Tobago-born, saying it's a dock pond can make. Understand? All them time it is the PNM government in this country until the NR came and beat them 32-3. It had no UNC in existence. No UNC was in existence all in that time. Understand? The same PNM, they wanted to give Tobago to self-governance. NR Robinson came into power on the NR. And what happened? 1990, a coup. Understand?
Yes, 1990 coup, yeah.
1990. Who again? The People's National Movement. It had no UNC, it had nobody else. Understand? Come and try to chastise Kamala Persad because she walked out of the parliament with her members. She was right because Ms. Camille Robinson raised all them with the speaker, all them, they made an agreement at the time allotted to who the speakers are. And then to come now and say you want to give the Prime Minister your extra hour, then that's not working. That's why they walk out. The PNM don't want no self-governance for Tobago because the PNM know anytime Tobago gets self-governance, a lot of the boundaries, maritime boundaries, Tobago will be controlling a lot of it, which will mean in oil and natural gas. Understand? The PNM don't want that side. They don't want that. The PNM want the Tobago people to be as it is, dependent on Trinidad and Tobago. All that talk, the TRHA, that is hot here talk, Said.
I understand.
Talk. Who has had the most time in government in this country? The People's National Movement. What have they done? Made this country worse. This country has been worse because of the People's National Movement dealing side. Every other political party coming, always trying to fix what the PNM has done. And what is going after? They'll come, usher them out, fabricate a set of lies, understand, and they understand? There's what every day, all you can talk about is camera that drunkard, camera this and the thief and the thief and that. What are you doing right now? What Keith Wally? The man is a total waste. The PNM is disaster side. for Trinidad and Tobago side. I know what part of what part of Shogunas or which part you live in. Understand? And Shogunas are two big towers, let me remind you side.
I understand that, yeah, yeah.
Planning, incomplete. Petrochin headquarters, millions of dollars spent, incomplete. This is Malcolm Jones, gas
The towers.
project.
Yeah, the towers, yeah.
Money gone, the drain.
Focus. Yeah, the towers. The towers, show me.
The two towers in Shogunas. Right? And this scandal come about, they closed Petrochin, the same kit roll you were down there, understand? And and what you say, for those of you who now close all the fridge and didn't hear me, we're not closing Petrochin.
Yes.
It closed today. The PNM is only lie. That's all they do side. They don't want to be able to get no self-governance. Right now, we're hurting the PNM side. They're watching Watson Duke and his party. Pamela Nicholson, Hotel Charles, all of them tried to get Tobago self-governance under the NR, and they was fired on by the PNM. Child, in my humble opinion, I just believe the PNM have plenty to do with this country being having a coup in 1990. I stand to be corrected, no, but that is my humble opinion and my feeling. The PNM don't care about green Trinidad. They only care about water people, and we all know who it is, the masters, the 1%ers. Like you, thank you, Saeed.
Thank you, my friend. Now, I understand what you're saying. But I believe Camille also said, Minister of Government Business, she also said, if the minister is speaking and she wants to give the minister her time, being the minister, it is okay to do so. I listened to the video. I listened to the clip. So I understand what you're saying other than that. So viewers, we're moving along now. Works and Transport Minister Rohan Sinanan have stated that international airlines will be able to fly to and from TNT once the borders are reopened on July 17th. Responding to a question, Sinanan stated that international airlines will be allowed to come to TNT as they did before the pandemic, as details would be worked out soon.
Madam Speaker, the answer is yes. However, the details will be worked out between the relevant authorities in the coming days. Thank you.
Now, viewers, MP Khatija Amin then questioned Sinanan, to what extent will CAL increase flights to facilitate citizens returning home? Sinanan reiterated that the reopening of the borders will be managed and the details will be worked out in the coming days. That was his response. As MP Rodney Charles responded to Sinanan that announced policies and then working out the detail is bad management practice. He was shut down by the House Speaker.
Madam Speaker, as I said, the intentions is for a reopening of the borders. It will be a managed reopening, and the details will be worked out between the relevant authorities in the coming days. That includes Caribbean Airlines and all the other carriers. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the minister aware that announcing policy and then working out the details is bad management practice, and you should desist from that?
Member, that question is out of order.
There now, I could say, not holding anything against the Speaker. Not holding anything against the Speaker. But for shutting down an important question like that is definitely wrong. Definitely wrong. Now I understand what Mr. Rohan Sinanan is saying. They have a policy. They are expected to open on the 17th of July. But they did not work out details as yet. They are expecting, just like us, we on the 4th of July, everyone in Trinidad are expecting to come back out of the lockdown for stores, business places to reopen back. We are expecting to open on the 4th of July back to normal. I'm going to tell you something, I will give jackets. I will give jackets. The borders are expected to open on the 17th of July. Now, Now viewers, if there's a twist, borders may not be opening on the 17th of July. Trinidad and Tobago citizens expect to come back out to their normalcy with the regulations in effect, to a normalcy in Trinidad where stores will be opening and people will be going back out to work on, let's just say, the 5th of July. Let's just say that, right? But if there's a twist in turn, and the Prime Minister said we are not coming back out on the 4th of July due to a twist, what would he do? We will have to go back now and work out details because we were catering to open back on the 4th. So, the Speaker should have allowed Rohan Sinanan to give at least a time frame as to when things will be put in place. And according to Rodney Charles, he asked a very, very important question. And he said something very, very important. You bring out a policy. But you should have had at least something to back up your policy. I give him Jack where Jack is supposed to be, you know. That is what I'm doing here. And that is why I'm educating you all. Caller, good night.
Good night.
Go right ahead.
Yes, Mr. Saeed. This kind of time, people hungry and starving. People dying like flies. And this is the time them can try to come to talk to self-governance and pile of rubbish. Let's go to the health system in Trinidad first before you go to Tobago. You understand? Anyhow, I love your suit. You look lovely.
Thank you, my dear. So moving on, viewers. Private organization could try to bring in COVID-19 vaccine once they meet all the requirements of the Ministry of Health. The question arose after the Ministry of National Security was able to secure Pfizer vaccine through a private arrangement with the United States. However, the PM stated that vaccine brought in by any private sector entity would fall under the law and requirements to bring medication into the country. So I guess that would go under the pharmaceutical board. Because you're bringing in, you have to have a document, you have to have all the approvals to bring in medications. Now, he added that the National Security Department had to justify to the Ministry of Health where vaccine came from, and the same time, and at the same thing, willing to apply to the private sector.
I have said before that vaccines coming into this country brought by the private sector, any private sector person or entity wanting to do that will fall under the law and the requirement to bring medication into this country. So anybody in the private sector who can get vaccine the same way the National Security Department had to justify to the Ministry of Health all the data as to where this came from, what authorization it has to enter this country, the same thing will apply to the private sector if they get their hands on vaccine.
So my question is, why? Why didn't the Supermarket Association and ANSA given the green light to bring in the vaccine? Why? Why? It falls under the law and the regulations. Why didn't they get the authorization to bring it in? Well, I want to talk. That is talk to talk. So here it is. PM further added that he was not open to allowing vaccines in the country if he could not vouch for its efficacy and content.
If the vaccine passes muster in the way that those vaccines had, because even though they were coming to our government department, they didn't just come through because they were going to the government department. They were subjected to the extreme stringency of answering all the questions, because the one thing that we are not open to do is to have vaccines come into this country for which we are not satisfied of its origin, its efficacy, what's the content, because as a government we do know, we've had news and information of people receiving in vials so-called vaccines which turn out to be anything else but vaccines, salt water and otherwise, coming from sources that are, and I mean from day one I told you, given what the country and the world dealing with, charlatans will appear, and we have to protect ourselves from it.
So now, Prime Minister, let me beat you at your own words. However, the PM stated that the vaccine brought by any private sector entity would fall under the law and requirements to bring medication into the country. Health had to give the okay. To the Supermarket Association to bring in the vaccine after they were satisfied. So what the Prime Minister is talking, I would say, is nonsense. Just how you come and say that it would fall under the law and the requirements to bring in medication into the country, you could have given the okay for the supermarket and answer to bring in vaccine through the health ministry, and the health ministry would have given the okay when they were satisfied with the contents and the efficacy of the vaccine. Talk now, Prime Minister. All I just want a whole briefing Monday and come Wednesday and forget what all you say Monday. All it is want to keep a press briefing Monday and then come back Wednesday and forget what all you say Monday. So my question is now, Supermarket Association together with ANSA, you think they would just go in a country and buy the vaccine and bring it in when they had to have the green light from the Ministry of Health? So what you talk there? You talk something with sense or something without sense? Because many times you had Rajiv Dipti, the president of the Supermarket Association advocating to bring in the vaccine. They were using their own money. Navin, correct? But the Prime Minister wanted to, he forgot what he's saying. Boy, you look good. Yes, caller, good night.
Yes, hi, good night.
Go right ahead.
Concerning that issue that takes place in Parliament, I wouldn't say that the opposition was right for her to do it, because honestly, if people at Tobago want self-governance, the opposition should at least vote and give them it. Because
they should at least start a discussion and forget the time.
Right, let me tell you something, right? And you see this problem with the speaker, right? You read the post that Puat Khan wrote, right?
No.
Puat Khan simply say, right? Let me tell you what he says. Simply say that when the People's Partnership was in government, Kamala and she government fixed the rules and the regulations at the House so that the Speaker would have the amount of power that he have right now.
Okay.
The Speaker back then was Wayne Mark. So therefore, the trap that they set back then is coming back to bite them now. Now, let me tell you something, sorry. Plenty of the problems that the UNC facing is what they do to themselves, because when they was in government side, they had the majority, they had the special majority to fix the whole parliament side. And what they do, they did nothing to fix the parliament. I don't want to bash nobody in the side, but I'm telling you.
No. You see, caller, is not about bashing, It's about giving the jacket where the jacket's supposed to go.
Right. Now, when they were in parliament, Mama Kamala had a big majority over the PNM. So they could have fixed the parliament properly so that certain things could have been done fairly. But no, they fixed it towards them because them was in government. Now that they're in opposition, stealing all the things that they do back then. So it's not really that, but honestly, Saeed, I don't know. I just think they should have just vote and just hear them out. And if the people want self-governance side, give it to them.
I understand what you're saying.
After what happened there, they can't blame Kamala because everything they're going to blame is Kamala again. You roll here a whole press conference just to Kamala name.
Yes, boy, I saw it.
that press conference the other side was of no substance. None. Everything this man talked was a pack of garbage. Gonna wasting airtime and spending we money to waste that airtime to talk us that rubbish on TV.
Thank you, my friend.
Yeah, you enjoy it.
Thank you, my friend. You see, it's not, sometimes it's not about judging, you know. I just said the PNM hard when they do crap. And I just said the UNC hard when they're supposed to stand up and stepping back. I just do that. I fear across the board. I'm not here just to bash the PNM and what them do. No. It's not about that. The UNC is supposed to stand up. Forget about the time right now. We having a debate and an important discussion. It's about self-governance. Stand up and ask questions. You go fix the time afterwards. You go fix the time afterwards. Minister of Health Terence Singh have rejected claim that Trinidad and Tobago has the worst record in accessing COVID-19 vaccine. But we start last. You want to end up first? We start last. Don't expect to end up first. Question on criteria for private sector agency who wants to procure vaccine. The Singh said certain information would be required. Why didn't come out and tell the Supermarket Association that? Why you didn't come out and say that from the beginning? You all heard what the Prime Minister said just now. It falls under laws and requirements. They were willing. Rajiv Dipti said they were willing. They were waiting, tell us what to do, and we will do it. They didn't ask the government for money. They were using their money to fund their workers. Now all I want to come and talk us that nonsense after the Supermarket Association have been vaccinated. Boy, let me tell you something. It's side here, you know. It's side here to educate the people, you know. I know just coming on a platform, on a TV station and bragging, you know. I'm bringing facts to all you. However, the Singh stated that this comment is based on a false premises and added that these measures are being used to import new drugs in the country.
That comment is based on a false premise. If you would look at our rates of vaccination, they are going up radically well. 2, all these measures are the typical measures